Hey everybody, it's Lebo with Lebo's Pinball, part 13 of working on this target pull. We're getting really close to getting it done, but still got a little bit of a punch list of some things to finally finish up. And what those things are, number one, I've got to remake the cards that go here. This tells you the ball in play and the instructions. And this card also tells you the score point of which you would get a free game. Of course, this game's gonna be set on free play, so kind of a moot point, but you still want to get that, that knock sound whenever you get to those points. Just kind of a fun thing to have. So we want to recreate those cards. So that's one thing. Another thing I'd point out in the last video, this ball trying to get over from the trough here into the shooter lane. It's having a lot of trouble with it. It's not kicking it real hard. So we're going to have to dive into that, see what we can do about fixing that up. Third thing is there are a few switches in here that are not real super responsive. This one, for example, I've tried scrubbing it and something's still not quite right on it. So dig into that a little bit more. And another thing is here in the back box, we're going to throw new lights in here, get that looking a little bit better. And also, I noticed something on this credit counter whenever it would get up to 9, like whenever you're hitting, whenever you get the special, and basically it adds a game. It's not add ball, it's basically, it's adding a replay. And once it would get to 9, it wouldn't go past that. So I thought 9 was, the max credits that this game would have, but it turns out that the scoring reel actually goes up beyond that. I think it goes to 15. I didn't look at it real close, but I know it goes past 9 because I just manually actuated it. So we're gonna dive into all that. I don't know how much we're gonna get into it today, but we're gonna go ahead and start out here on these scorecards, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do it. Here we go. All right, so here's what was with the game when I got the game to me to work on. And this looks like a correct card. It seems to be. It's fitting it right, and these are points that you can make adjustments on in the back box to try to get your replay at these different score points. So that should be something doable, but it's really dingy looking. We're gonna make a new one. However, this over here, this is very much not the right card for the game. Number one, it says 1 or 2 can play. And if you know your wedge heads, they're all just one-player games. This is just a one-player game. And these instructions don't, they don't make any sense really with the game. It's not the right one. And the obvious thing is, this card is nowhere near the correct size. The size here, this is 6 inches wide by 4 1/4. This is also 6 inches wide. It's 2 1/4 inch tall. Now, I did find a place online. Somebody has got an excellent resource, and I would recommend you go here. Let's see if I can zoom in and show this. So there's a website, this incognito.nl. If you go there, there's a lot of scorecards and stuff that's just open source. And I've printed this off. This is basically they call this like a back mask. So the idea, that's where it's printed on, and when it's upside down, of course I'll cut it out, but light will shine through. Let's get over here. Of course I got the light here in the room, but this will be sitting here, and as the light moves underneath the different areas, it will light up the numbers. And I've also got here whether I want to set this for a 3 ball per play game or 5 ball. And I've got it currently set at 5, and that's what I'll leave it at. So I'm going to use basically this card. So I got to basically cut the perimeter out here and cut open a little window here along with that back mask. And I'm going to actually laminate it all together, so it's just nice one piece. So I'll have to cut in just a tiny little bit shorter all the way around it, so leave a little bit of room for that lamination around it. So that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and cut this up and see how it fits. All right, with the first scorecard now put in place, here is that, I guess what you call it, the back piece, the shadow, whatever, it's in place. Now I've put a piece of double stick tape here in between the two pieces just to kind of get it right about where I want. So what I'm gonna do now is just kind of trim up this edge so that it all looks sort of even, and then I'll laminate it and get it to where it's in there just right. they are all trimmed in and in place. I had to make this actually a couple times. I cut them a little short, a little wrong. It just didn't look right. But looks pretty good now, so I'm gonna start a game. There goes, there's ball one. This can actually, this is pretty tight right in there. Turn out the lights here. Let's see how it's looking. Yeah, I mean, it looks okay. Looks pretty good. I mean, I think it's how to be expected. So it's time to move on to the next part of the project. Let's get to the figure out what's going on here with this ball trough thing. All right, so what's this ball trough issue doing? So go ahead and drop the ball down here. Oh, that time it shot right over. A lot of times it struggles to get over there. Like right now. Okay, made it over. It may be that there's a dirty contact on a switch that's firing it over there, and then as it's been playing a few more times, it's starting to clean itself out. I don't know. I have to go chase that down. Could be that maybe there's a little issue with the coil. A lot of times they say coils just, hey, they don't have problems, and I don't think that's true, but usually, the times that I have had coil problems, that something had happened where the coil got locked on, he'd heated up. It probably had some kind of a meltdown on the insulation internally and caused a short, and so now the coil's drawing more current, which could cause things, not on EM, but it could cause things like blowing transistors on solid state games. But if it's got a short internally, it's probably not going to be really pulling real strong. So it could be that there is something wrong with this coil, and I do have a spare coil that I will probably go ahead and put on there just anyways. It could also be that the whole mechanism where it shoots the ball over is not quite right. It might be loose, it might be dirty, it might not be in the right position. I don't know. We're gonna go tear into it and let's go see what we can find out. First thing I do is pull this apron off and get a look at it. All right, so here's the ball trough with the apron removed, and when the ball goes into this whole the out hole or whatever, it actually will hit a switch right here. Once it makes that contact, that's what actually will then send this ball, the coil will fire, and then this little arm here will shoot the ball up the ramp and then over the switch here to know that the ball made it in, and then it will get. So I've just hit the start button, so should be able to just drop the ball in here. See what it's doing. Not quite making it. All right, so there it went over. Sometimes it looked like it was trying to shoot the ball up here. That might be a little bit of the problem, but it just was not really getting it a very good hard hit. So let's see if I can check out that switch, and then we'll go ahead and maybe go ahead and throw in a new coil just for good keeping. Okay, just taking a look here. We've got the little throwers, the arms. They seem like they're mostly in line. It's kind of hard to tell here. It might take just a little bit of tweaking, maybe to move it a little bit so that it's, in the test earlier, it was throwing the ball a little bit more in this area. If I can throw it down the center, that's going to be a little bit better. But it's mostly doing that, based on what I can tell. So I don't think that that's the problem. Another thing is I'm noticing, going into the coil, it seems to be, moving pretty smoothly. I don't feel a lot of resistance. There's a spring here. What the spring does is, like, when the ball hits really hard, or when it hits the ball hard, it's kind of like a shock absorber. But I don't really see a problem there. It seems to be fine. So I'm still thinking maybe the coil might be an issue, or whatever voltage is applied to the coil might be an issue. I'm gonna go ahead and swap this coil just because I have one. See what happens, and if that doesn't do much, we'll chase it a little deeper. right, so we've got the coil swapped out. Let's see what happens now. We hit the start button. All right, so the ball came over that time. Well, looking pretty good. So maybe it was mostly the coil. It's still not like really strong, but better than what it was. Let's try again. Oh, we gotta add some credits here. We don't have the free play set up yet. All right, let's try it again. And I just kind of barely made it over. That was pretty good there. Oh, not good. Okay, got it over. All right. Well, I think it's mostly better. Still kind of feel like something's not quite right. When I took everything apart here, I did kind of adjust. I got paint on my fingers from another project. I did adjust things a little bit, so there were two variables. I did swap out the coil and just kind of putting everything back that, you know, that plays into it a little bit. So I don't know. Both those things are playing into it. It seems like it's doing mostly good now, but keep my eye out on it. Time to move on to the next stage. All right, so let's go around the playfield and just see how responsive the switches are. I'm just going to give a light touch to everything. It's definitely working nice there. These are feeling pretty good here so far. This one was a problem before. Oh, it's performing well now. It may have just been like a little bit of grit or something in the switch when I cleaned it out. I don't know. So far, actually, most of the switches are good. That one might have had a little, it might be a little bit sloppy. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I don't like that one. That one's a little too far. Tighten it up. So we'll tighten that one up. Let's see how these are looking. That one's a little sloppy too. Oh, it made it, but we're gonna need to tighten that one up. That one, I think it was that one. All right, let's see over here. Yeah, these are making pretty good. All right. Oh wait, didn't do these. Okay, so just have a couple switches. We're gonna tighten them up and move on to the next stage of the whole game here. All right, the switches seem to be doing pretty good now. Just go through them all one more last time, just checking. Yeah, they're doing well. All right, time to move to the back box. I'm gonna go ahead and swap these lights out. I'll show you what I gotta do to get to them. Basically the back part kind of folds down and we can get to the bulb sockets. So we'll swap out bulbs and see how it looks. All right, so here's the back box. And one thing I want to go ahead and mention, while I've been working on the game, sometimes these bells get a little loud and I just take a piece of duct tape or whatever kind of tape to kind of dampen out the bells. So I'll stick some tape on there just temporarily. I'll pull those off later, but figured I'd show that to you while we're back here. All right, so to get to where those bulbs are, we gotta flip this thing around here. It's hard to do a little bit with one hand. Let's see if I can then lean this whole area down. All right, so there are all the bulbs. We got a lot of stuff to kind of clean up. So these are all, these are blinking bulbs. I have some new ones. I'm gonna put some new ones in there just to kind of make the whole, you know, the target pull area look kind of nice. But all through here, look at these. These are looking bad. Some of them are just the sockets are rough, like how the whole game has been kind of rough on sockets. So we're gonna see what we can do about that. That may have to be where I do my trick again with, you know, since it's on the rail. We'll see what we can do. We may have to pull those out to make them work well. These, some of these can be kind of hard to get into when they're in a tight spot, but if you take a little piece of rubber that's off of a plunger rubber tip, you can sometimes use that to slip down the bulb and pop it out. So I'm gonna try replacing all the bulbs that are going behind here. I'm gonna try them with a diffused frosted bulb. So just to see how it looks, since this back glass has got a lot of flaking in some spots, it's not gonna look real great. But I'm gonna do the best I can. And then other areas, we'll just try, you know, we might try some clear bulbs, just see how it looks. So let's go and see what happens. All right, so the lamps that are above the score reels, these are those lamps that are on those rails, kind of like what we were dealing with on, I guess it was these targets earlier where we had all the targets, or no, they're bulbs. What am I talking about? The bulbs that were here, they were on that rail where you can't really replace them individually. I've kind of got that same problem here. A lot of these sockets, they're spinning around really loose. So I need to do something about that, either do a little jumper wire again or find a way where I can crip them down a little bit better. But to be able to get to it, because it's in this tight spot, I need to really take them out. And it looks like there's a screw here on each side, one there, one here and here. And then there's just two wires coming into that whole rail. You've got, you know, the one common across it, and then the other one that's just hitting the tips on all of it. And it's the same way up here. So I think once I take the screws out, this whole thing should lift up. So let's see how that looks. All right, the screws are out. So, yep. Oh, look, there's crud falling out. But okay, at least I've got that a little easier to get to. See if I can get this up. There's not a lot of slack in the wires, but that may be enough to work on. I may have to throw a towel or something here to keep stuff from falling where I don't want it to. But let's see if we can work on this, get this a little better, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the top one. All right, well, I did very little work on it, but one little trick that I did, just trying to spin the whole, you know, the cylinders around, and finding, like, as I spin it around, finding a place where it bites down a little bit harder. Right about where my thumb is, I don't know if you can see it too well, I don't know if it's focusing or not, kind of hard to tell. I would take a pair of needle nose pliers and just sort of bent this metal brace just a little bit to kind of put a little bit of a bump into it. That way when I would turn this around, it would just kind of tighten down on it a little bit more. You can see it, it's a little more pronounced. See it a little bit. Yeah, you can see where I kind of bent that there. That seemed to have helped. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if it's gonna be real reliable or not, but looking at the bottom side of these, yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of a rusty spot. That's not gonna do too great to try to solder to. I'd have to sand it off really good. Just don't know that I need to. The other thing that I did do is I did use this little cleaning tool here to get down inside of each one of these, and I scrubbed them out. So between both of those, it seemed to have helped. So may put it back, get the screw back in place. Let's look at the top ones. They're kind of dealing with some same issues. See, like this one, I mean, the bulbs are all good. They're just getting some connection issues. So let's make some progress. And I did the trick on the top one too. Just a little bit of a bending it around. It didn't help a whole lot, but it's enough to where it seems to be working fine. So let's put this back up here just for a minute. See how it looks on the other side. That latched in place. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, it's looking nice. All right, we're gonna finish putting in bulbs down through all through here. I'll go ahead and show you. So I did change the tilt out to be a fast blinking. It's an LED bulb. Now it's different than the blinking incandescent bulbs up here that are a lot more random. I wanted to leave that so that it gives, you know, the nice authentic look. I like the way that those incandescent blinking bulbs look whenever they're trying to show something like that. But whenever we're trying to do an indication, like tilt, if it just goes on solid, sometimes you don't really even notice it. But I just kind of like that effect. I think it looks good. So I went ahead and replaced these bulbs with LEDs. Same way with over here. There's some hot spots where things have kind of leaked through a little bit. Just, you know, the thinning of the art on the back glass. So I don't know, I may switch that out to a frosted bulb, I'm not sure. I'm gonna go ahead and swap these out here like I mentioned earlier, and then we'll see how that looks. All right, so I got frosted bulbs all behind the balls here. So I've got a game started. To be able to light all those up, I just need to hit each one of these targets here. I'll go 1 all the way down to 15, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5, 6. See how they're looking. All right, they're all lighting up. 13, yeah, that might be a little dim. Might check that one out. Hey, but they're looking good. Actually, I think that frosted looks well, even though we've got some of the flaking that's going on here on the back glass. Having it, you know, nice with the frosted LED bulbs, I think looks good. All right, so, oh yeah, one other thing is right through here, there's also LEDs there for the ball match. And so I'm on ball 1. Let's see, to get this all the way through, we can just cheat it, but there's 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if we take the ball and then now drain it, that is game over. And then that happens to be what it landed on as far as the match is concerned. But basically, I just lit all those up. They're not that much brighter than the incandescents, but it makes a little difference. So next, I'm gonna go look in this credit wheel. It's only going up to 9, and then it won't go beyond that. But when I looked at the wheel, it looks like it goes beyond that. I think it was 15. So it might be just an adjustment that's in the back. I'm gonna take a look and see if it may just be designed where that's only gonna go to 9, and they just used a wheel that was numbered up to 15, but I'm gonna check it out. All right, I got it set right now. It's at 0. And let's just take a look in the back, what that looks like, the position of 0. So when we're at 0, this right here, I'm gonna zoom in and see if you can look at it a little bit closer. A little hard to see, but that's opening up this switch right here, which is what I think that's what I'm gonna need to close to make it for free play. But the other thing to notice is this little post right here. Let me come around here and, okay, again, we're on 0. So to be able to advance that, so this would be as if I were actually adding a credit. Every time that you would add a coin, it would, that's 1, that's 2, that should be 3. Let's go around here and take a look. Yep, there's 3. So that would have been 3 credits. Notice that this post just moved away from that one switch, but then it's a little hard to see now because it's kind of behind a shadow, but the post here, it's moving around. So if I keep advancing it forward, now you can see it coming around. It gets to a point right about there. I think it just made the switch open up. Let's see where we're at. Sure enough, we're on 9. So that just opened up, and that's not allowing it to go advance anymore. So, and this coil up here is that's what takes the credits away. Each time that you play a game, it just, you know, it subtracts a credit to get all the way back down to that point. So what are we gonna do? We can leave it alone and just say that, hey, this is just a 9 credit game, that's the maximum. But I noticed right about here, it looks like there's a threaded hole. I don't know for sure, still trying to figure this out, but I think that that's made to where you can move that post from one side to over there. If you really care to, if you really want to. Again, it's gonna be set for free play, but the reason I would still wanna do it is once you get to 9 credits, if you hit if the ball goes over the special, you're not getting any more knocks. Basically, these specials here, whenever the ball hits that, once you're at 9, you're not going to get that knock anymore. So, kind of thinking maybe we can increase that just for the fun factor. Let me see if I can do that and see what happens. All right, so to move that little arm, you can see I've actually got it moved now. The way that I did it, instead of actually trying to take this whole credit unit out, it would have been these 2 screws here and then this one up here. To get that out, there's a couple springs that are behind here. I'm not sure really why they're there, other than I guess oh, I see why. It's just to kind of give it some give, some kind of like a shock absorber. Instead of messing with all that, I kind of cheated by just taking 3 screws out right here, and just takes this whole bell assembly. I've just got it out of the way, and that was just enough to where I could get to the head of the screw. I've gone ahead and I've moved it from one position over to here, so I'm going to put the bell back in and we're going to test it out and see what happens. So everything's back. Now it's time to go test it out. Let's see where we're at right now. We're on 1 credit, so I'm going to go ahead and start the game. And by the way, I have not set this for free play yet, so if I were to try to start another game, even like right now, yeah, it's not doing anything. But let's just see what happens. So let's go ahead and try to get to the special again. Once I do all of these, or once I get either all the evens or all the odds, you get at least 1 special. When you get all of them, am I missing one? Yeah, right here. Once you do that, you get all of them. You get a special. So, all right. So now we're at 0 credits. So if we start hitting the special, it should start adding credits, and before we would only go up to 9. All right, 8, 9. We're gonna hit it one more time. Ooh, it's a good sound. 11, 12. There's 15. And it's exactly what I was hoping it would do. So perfect. All right, so we got a lot of it all fixed. Wow, this has been a busy day. Okay, it's not been one day. This has actually been several days that it took me to get all this together. So what's left now? Man, we are really close. I'm only gonna take care of a couple more things. These rails on the side, even though we're leaving the body, intact the way that it is, I'm gonna go and pop these rails off, scrub them down, get them cleaned up. There's tape and garbage on it. But if I can pull them off, I can scrub them down. And the other thing, the very bottom, you can't really swig. You might be able to see it over this way. The wood here in the bottom, it's delaminating a little bit. It's not gonna be real easy to go pop that off the cabinet, but what I will do is I've got a thin piece of plywood that I'm gonna overlay on that and just kind of neaten it up. So I think that makes sense. Anyways, that's it for this latest installment. This was a long video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.